Hi, everyone, and welcome to our fourth session of the Med Instead Meds Walk Kansas Lunch Series. We are so glad you're joining us this afternoon and hope that you've been continuing to stay active with your Walk Kansas teammates. Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that K-State Research and Extension is an equal opportunity employer. Therefore, we do not discriminate against anyone. So if there is any special request or concern that you need addressed to attend any of our programs, please reach out to us and let us know. Today, we are diving into the Med Instead of Meds diet, and Christina Holmes, the Southeast Regional Family and Consumer Sciences Specialist, will cover fruits and vegetables. And Sherilyn Jackson, Northeast Regional Family and Consumer Sciences Specialist, and of course, the Walk Kansas State Leader, will explore some of the delicious recipes loaded with lots and lots of those fruits and veggies. We encourage you to utilize the Q&A or chat to engage with us and ask questions. We're all here to learn together. Now let's dive in and see what this med way of eating is all about. Take it away, Christina.
Thank you, Ashley, and I'm so excited to start our fourth session of Med Instead of Meds today. I want a lot of dialogue and comments on the chat today because I think most of us know we need to eat more fruits and vegetables, but the issue is some of the barriers that we often encounter. So today as a group, I want to brainstorm some solutions to our barriers, so that way we can all start eating more fruits and vegetables and get healthier together. So as I said, today's week 4. We've talked about ways to incorporate fats in our diet and those healthy fats. We've also talked about our healthy, our nuts and seeds and ways we can start transitioning in our diet. So today, let's get started on fruits and vegetables. So thinking each week that we've had a review of what the Med Instead of Meds diet looks like. Today, we're going to focus on that top circle, more fruits and vegetables. As you look at that picture, there's a variety of colors there, and that's really important. We've talked a lot in the last few weeks about the nutrients in your diet and fiber in your diet, and getting a variety of colors in those fruits and vegetables is a way to ensure that you're getting all the variety of nutrients that your body needs. The next circle is our whole grains. We want to continue to try to make at least half of our grains whole grains. So when you look at a label, that first ingredient should say whole. If it doesn't, try to look at some other items, in the bread section or the pasta section, and try to make sure we're getting some whole grains in our diet. It may be those small gradual changes. So maybe you're trying to get a different cereal this week. Maybe next week you might try a different type of bread. It's kind of doing small gradual changes each week to start changing the diet for yourself and for your family. The next is our beans. We've talked a lot about these, that they're a source of protein. They're also a great source of fiber. So as we talk about these first 3 circles, as they increase our fiber intake, you'll fill up faster at a meal and you'll stay full longer. And that's a big key to the Mediterranean diet. If you're full and content longer after a meal, you're less likely to be snacking on some of those foods like our treats and our snacks and our sweetened beverages. Next is our meat and our seafood, and try to get these at least 2 to 3 times per week. And I saw a couple comments earlier that some are incorporating seafood in your diet. Add it into the chat if you've tried anything this week and to incorporate your seafood intake. Next are our nuts and our seeds. Again, these can be high in fat, but they're often the sources of good fat that we need in our diet. So limit your portion size a day to about the size of a handful. This could be something you could put in a baggie and take for a snack. You can put it on top of a salad. Maybe you put it on top of your oatmeal for breakfast. Again, you're getting those good fats in your diet. It's going to help promote fullness, but it's also heart healthy in what your body needs. Next are our healthy fats. Last week we talked about getting more olive oil in our diet. Again, this is our heart healthy fat that we need, and try to gradually swap and using more olive oil than some of the other oils, such as butter or Crisco or lard that you might be using already. Getting that healthy fat and the olive oil in our diet, again, it's heart healthy. It's going to give you those good calories that your body needs, and it's going to help promote satiety after a meal. And herbs and spices. We've talked a lot about making gradual changes in our foods, but often whenever you change the cooking method or the preparation method, we may be lacking that flavor. Adding more herbs and spices are going to punch the flavor of the foods we like. So hopefully your entire family are going to like the recipes that you're going to be preparing. And lastly is white wine in moderation if you choose to. In addition to that, we talk each week about the other components that we want to look for at a meal. And we're going to talk a little bit about these as well today. But next is physical activity. We want to think about how much you've been exercising and gradually increase that. Again, it's going to make you feel better. It's going to reduce your stress, which sometimes causes people to have some of those snacks that we're going to try to reduce. But it's also good for your entire body and your heart. Next is the thing we're going to focus on today, and it's talking about at your meals, taking time to enjoy your meals, taking time to chew and enjoy the foods that you're consuming. And if we're taking the time to prepare a recipe, we want to be able to enjoy it and actually taste the flavors that you're adding to that recipe. And lastly, we want to make sure we're reducing our sweetened beverage intake. So kind of keeping a baseline or even logging how much pop or sweetened coffee or sweet tea that you're consuming and making those gradual changes so we can start reducing that. So put in the chat if you've tried any of these components this week and maybe your results. How did your family like it? What do we need to do different next week to increase our intake for some of these items? So we think about med instead of meds. We want to focus on these three components, making things simple, making them delicious, and making them satisfying. If we think about a recipe, or if I give you a recipe today and it has 30 ingredients, it takes hours to prepare, you and I both know it's not something you're going to regularly prepare for your family. So we want to focus on simple ways that we can change our eating habits so it makes it realistic for you and your lifestyle. We also know if I give you a recipe today and it doesn't taste very good, you're not going to fix it again. So we want to focus on foods that we can gradually incorporate in your lifestyle that both you and your family enjoy. And last, satisfying. We want to finish a meal, with satisfaction that we've enjoyed it, we've liked the flavors. And so we're going to focus on that today so we can make sure we're all making these changes this week to eat the Mediterranean way. So as we've come the last few weeks, we've talked about our protein, we've talked about our fats, and today we're focusing on the 3 and 4, eating more fruits and eating more vegetables. So put in the chat, tell me your favorite fruit and your favorite vegetable. And this week, we're going to investigate other fruits and vegetables that we can add. So we're eating more of a variety, eating that rainbow that we talked about earlier. So thinking about our fruit and vegetable intake, there's lots of things that we can gradually start doing, okay? But when we think about our vegetables, we want to increase to at least 3 servings or 3 cups of vegetables a day. Again, think about your baseline and how many vegetables you're typically consuming. And we want to set a goal to get to 3 cups on a regular basis. So things that you need to start thinking about is how we can plug vegetables into each meal and snack. If you haven't had vegetables all day and you get to dinner, eating 3 cups of a vegetable could be overwhelming for some people. So we want to spread that out throughout the course of the day if we can, and making sure we're getting a variety of colors. For fruit, we want to make sure we're getting at least 2 servings or 2 cups of fruit a day. Again, this could be something you could pack to have for a snack. You can pack a fruit salad for dinner. And talking about some of these recipes, what are some things that we can prepare and maybe eat them for a couple days? So it's going to reduce the amount of time you're spending in the kitchen preparing items. So thinking about all the fad diets out there, all the things you may see on social media or on the internet, and they all have their different dietary recommendations. But at the end of the day, a large majority of those dietary recommendations still focus back on fruits and vegetables. Getting a variety of those fruits and vegetables is important for several reasons. Number one, typically they're very low in calories. So vegetables, if it's about 25 calories per serving and you're piling them high on your plate, it's going to reduce the amount of food on the rest of your plate that you can fit on there. And so it's going to reduce the amount of calories at your meal. In addition, they're a great source of nutrients and they're a great source of fiber. So it's going to reduce your calorie intake because they're pretty low in calories, and they're going to fill you up and keep you full longer. So thinking about all the dietary recommendations out there, if they all lead back to getting more fruits and vegetables in our diet, it's a pretty sound recommendation, and that's what we're going to focus on to see if we can increase for this next week. So when they've researched fruits and vegetables and the importance of getting them in our diet, they've shown that incorporating more fruits and vegetables in our diet can help you lose weight. As we increase our fruit and vegetable intake, they show that weight tends to go down. Research does indicate, though, that there are 2 that don't provide that protective factor against weight, and that tends to be corn and potatoes. And often, especially here in the Midwest, those are 2 that are typically in our diet, our daily routine or daily intake. And so we want to think about ways we can incorporate more berries, more nuts and more berries, more apples, pears, oranges, any of those fruits in our diet. But also think about our vegetables. Think about the variety of color we can consume. So maybe it's a big spinach salad with dinner. Maybe you're having bell peppers for a snack, and maybe some roasted carrots for dinner. Get a variety of colors in, which is going to be really important. But let's try to reduce gradually our intake of those corn and potatoes, getting some more fruits and vegetables that provide that protective factor and help you reduce your weight. So our diet should be built around fruits and vegetables. I always tell people whenever you build your plate or you're putting your food on your plate at dinner, start with fruits and vegetables on your plate. If you're going to prepare a meal, then you realize there are no fruits and vegetables on there. That shows us some ways we can start making some gradual changes. But why do we want to have fruits and vegetables on our plate? So we've already talked about the benefits that they're high in fiber and they're a great source of vitamins and minerals, but also protects against chronic disease. Every week we've talked about the health benefits of eating the Mediterranean way. And fruit and vegetables can reduce your incidence or development of chronic illness. It also protects against obesity and weight gain. So as we increase our fruits and vegetables, especially the ones we talked about on that previous slide, it can help you with weight loss, which is something that a lot of us try to do. All right, now we're going to talk about barriers. I think at the end of the day, most of us realize that, we need to eat more fruits and vegetables and eating balance is healthy, but often we run into some of those obstacles that's keeping us from eating balanced. So next step, I want you to put in the chat, what is keeping you or your family members from eating more fruits and vegetables? Let's see what some of the barriers are that you encounter. Some of the typical barriers may be cost. It's hard to cook. You don't like them or you like other things better. I taught a class once about eating more fruits and vegetables. And at the end of the class, the lady said, I know I need to eat more fruits and vegetables, but I don't know how to prepare them. So what are the barriers that you're encountering keeping you from eating balanced? And those barriers are what we need to target. If it's cost, let's brainstorm some ways to get more fruits and vegetables in your diet that align with your budget. If it's convenience, what are some things we can do to prep those vegetables or prep that fruit so it makes it easier for you to grab on the go? This is the time of year that a lot of people are doing field trips and track meets and softball and baseball. And so we need to find ways, that's not going to change in our schedule. We need to find ways so we can eat balanced and it aligns with our schedule and our routine. If it doesn't, we're still not going to increase our fruits and vegetable intake. And that's something that we really want to work on. Also craveable. We want to make sure we're getting fruits and vegetables in our diet that our families are going to enjoy and consume. Because it gets frustrating as, if you're preparing the meals and nobody's eating them, it's going to be harder for you to stick with. So we're going to find delicious alternatives to get more fruits and vegetables in our diet. So first, let's talk about cost. That's often what I hear most when people are trying to eat healthier is the changes in the dietary intake in regards to cost of those foods. So one way you can think about it is as you reduce your intake of other things, maybe the sweetened beverages, maybe the snack cakes or convenience foods, that money can then go towards more fruits and vegetables. But I also want you to make sure as you're planning ahead to be flexible. Think about what's in season, what's on sale, and how it's purchased and how it can relate to your lifestyle. So this gives you an example of apples. The first two are 5-pound bags of apples. The third one is per pound of an organic apple. So don't let organic or maybe a fancy fruit or vegetable option that may be more expensive keep you from eating more fruits and vegetables. I'd rather you choose something that works with your budget and the amount of funding you have available to allocate towards fruits and vegetables than just say, I can't afford it, I'm not going to do it at all. So do what works, my goodness, do what works best for your budget and make sure we're gradually increasing those fruits and vegetables. So in this situation, you could buy a 5-pound bag of apples. If you think about that in comparison to maybe a snack cake or a candy bar, you couldn't buy that much in those kind of snack items. So use this as your snacks and then reduce the amount of foods you're consuming that may not be as healthy for you. But also try to buy what's on sale. So I don't know if you get an ad, in the newspaper, or maybe you look at an ad on your phone before going to the store. Try to plan your meals based on what's on sale. And that may keep your family with some variety. As you shop in season, those things may be on sale, or maybe it's buying things that maybe are frozen instead of fresh. That helps to reduce your food waste as well, because you can pull out exactly what the amount your family needs, and you're not going to worry about that item sitting in the back of the fridge going bad that week. Another way is to buy in season. If you were going to a farmer's market and you may purchase something from a CSA, or you may go and purchase something directly from a vendor. So a CSA is a consumer supported agriculture program. This works great for a lot of individuals because the producer will actually put a variety of foods in a box based on the family size, and you can buy from them on a weekly basis. One reservation I would have with this is if you're finding that you're buying this and a lot of the items are going bad before you can use it, and may not be the best utilization of money. But you may get this box and it might challenge you to try new foods or maybe try new recipes to utilize those ingredients. And if that's the case, that could be a great option. And often they're more reasonable because you're getting a variety of items. If that isn't for you, you might try a farmer's market. That way you can go through and purchase exactly the amount of foods that you need for your family for the week. And you can purchase the items that you know your family is going to consume. Also, if thinking about options at farmers markets, you may be able to purchase using SNAP EBT or Double Up Food Bucks programs or the senior voucher program. So get to know your farmers market and the vendors and figure out if there's any incentive programs that you may qualify for. Next, we want to think about buying canned or frozen items. So sometimes these get a bad reputation. But first, let's talk about frozen items. When those are picked, they're picked and they're frozen at the prime ripeness. That means they have all their nutrient value. It's also great if maybe you live alone or maybe your family doesn't consume a lot of vegetables and you're trying to gradually increase your fruit and vegetable intake. These aren't going to go bad as quickly as if you buy, a head of lettuce or maybe some carrots in the refrigerator. These are also a great option to have, like your fruits, like for a smoothie, for a quick snack if you're hungry. So thinking about buying your vegetables, one thing that are frozen, one thing I would be careful with is what's added to them. Sometimes those frozen vegetables maybe have a sauce added to them that can be higher in sodium. So as you look at your label, make sure that it doesn't have any added sugar or added salt, and that could be a great option to have for a quick and convenient way to add more fruits and vegetables to your meal. Next are buying canned items. Try to look and see if you can get things that are canned with no added salt. These are, often they'll add salt as preservative. And if it does have the salt, you can always rinse it off. About 30% of the sodium will come off as you rinse those items off, for example, those green beans. But the best option would be buying things that are canned with no added salt. And you'll see that on the label. If you buy juices or fruit, try to get them canned in its own juice rather than a heavy syrup. Again, that would be extra sugar in our diet that we don't necessarily need. Okay, the next step is to have a plan. I know sometimes when I go grocery shopping and I don't have a grocery list, I tend to over purchase things, and then I don't have a plan on how I'm going to utilize them that week. As a result, sometimes they go bad. So again, if I'm on a certain budget regarding the amount of money I can spend at the grocery store and I'm throwing $20 worth of fruits and vegetables away every month, that's hindering my budget. So try to make a plan, go through your recipes, think about the schedule that you have that week with your family and what's realistic. I can't make a meatloaf on a day that I know we have softball practice and we won't get home until 7:30. So plan easy, convenient meals on those crazy nights that you're going 100 miles an hour. And there's nights that you might be at home. That could be a time that you could prep things for the next meal. So cutting up extra vegetables, putting fruit in baggies so you can have them for your lunch the next day. But you can save a lot of money if you're not wasting food. So only buy what you need. Or if things are canned or frozen and they're on sale, maybe that could be the way you can stock up on things to make your next grocery store visit a little less expensive. Then I want you to think about how cost effective it is in regards to your health. Okay, so often I hear I can't eat healthier, those fruits and vegetables are expensive, but also think about down the road. If you're not eating fruits and vegetables now, in the future, you may have more chronic illness, you may be buying more medications, you may have to have surgery. And so while it may be impacting your budget right now, it may benefit your long-term health and it could be a wash in regards to your finances. So studies show consuming 9 or more servings of fruits and vegetables resulted in a 60% reduction in cardiovascular disease. So making those small changes now can really benefit your current and your long-term health. Okay, so the next burden we talked about is convenience. It can be a lot easier sometimes to grab some of those snack foods if you're on the go rather than go in and prepare a salad or make a fruit salad for your snack or that kind of thing. So what can we do to make consumption of fruits and vegetables more convenient for you and your family? And the first step is prep. So if you have any secret tricks that have worked for you in regards to adding more fruits and vegetables in your diet, please add those in the chat. What I would suggest is thinking about ways you can prep ahead. So think about when you go to the grocery store. If you go to the grocery store and you're bringing these fruits and vegetables home, what are some things you can do then to make the consumption of fruits and vegetables easier throughout the week? And this may be putting carrot sticks in Ziploc baggies. This may be using a Ziploc container or Tupperware container to put a variety of fruits and vegetables in. This may be putting your nuts and seeds in little Ziploc baggies. Making sure we're having things that are easy to grab and go if you're trying to prepare lunch or a snack on the go. So some examples here is you get those single serve bags, so that way you can make small portion sizes. Wash your fruit, have it ready to go. And I always say, making sure it's accessible. If you're putting something in a hidden container or a hidden drawer in your refrigerator, your kids and yourself are less likely to grab it if you're looking for a snack. So I always try to put my fruits and vegetables on that center shelf when I open the refrigerator, so I know it's there. And it's a reminder for me to get it out and prepare it at a meal, so it's not sitting in the back of some drawer somewhere going bad. And what can you do to prep ahead of time? So my daughter loves to try to help in the kitchen. And so one thing she likes to do is to prep salads. So she'll cut enough lettuce and spinach and romaine lettuce for a big salad, and our family can eat on it for several days. She can also have a salad when she gets home from school as a healthier snack. And so then if it's in the refrigerator, it's prepared, I'm more likely to pull it out and add it with dinner than I would any other day. You may not even have a salad at that meal if it wasn't already prepared. And then convenience, how can we get more fruits and vegetables in our diet? We talked earlier that we need 3 cups of vegetables a day. And so really, as you proceed with your day, that has to be a mission. You have to have that in your head that I need more vegetables. And again, if you wait till dinner to try to get your vegetables in, that 3-cup intake is going to be overwhelming. So think about breakfast. What are some ways we can plug some vegetables into your breakfast meal to make it more realistic for you? So in this example, maybe we're adding spinach into an omelet. Maybe you're dicing up bell peppers and onions, or putting like a fresh salsa on top of your scrambled eggs. What are some ways you can plug vegetables in with breakfast? Then is our lunch and our supper. And there's a roasted vegetable recipe that you can serve cold or fresh. And so, roasting those vegetables ahead of time and making extras can be a great way to add vegetables in for your lunch the next day. And then adding extra vegetables if you're going to make a soup, or maybe a variety of vegetables into a salad, or make it into a casserole. What are some ways we can plug those things in so we're getting 3 cups of vegetables a day and 2 cups of fruit? So think about how much you're typically consuming. What is one thing you could do this next week to increase your vegetable intake? Okay, so thinking about prepping ahead, how far do you take prepping? So this is a wide variety, and it's kind of depends person by person and your schedule routine. Some people prep their meals by cutting up extra onions or peppers or tomatoes, so that way you can throw them into a stir fry or making a salsa the next day. Some people prep their meals by having lunch every single day of the week already prepared and ready to go. Again, it depends on your lifestyle and your preferences, and then kind of what variety you like with your meals. But what's a realistic way that you can start prepping this week? I think when you get home from the grocery store, look and see what items you have and how you intend on using those. Another option may be when you're, on Monday, if you're cutting up an onion for a stir fry, maybe cut up and dice extra onion at the same time while you're cutting boards out, while you're using a knife cutting the onion. So then that onion can then be used maybe in a wrap or maybe in a salad the next day. Again, if you have items already cut up and prepared, it's more likely for you to introduce that into the next meal and snack and increase that vegetable intake. Then we need to make things convenient. I talked earlier about the roasted vegetables. I used the recipe this past week for the spicy roasted cauliflower, and it was great in the air fryer. So find things that your family enjoys and how we can incorporate those into our routine. So this roasted vegetables is something you can prepare ahead of time. And even the recipe says it's great served cold. So you could pack it for a lunch and have it cold, or you could even warm it up. What can you do in preparing ahead of time so you can make extras to make the next day's meals more convenient and easy? So the roasted vegetables is something I really encourage you to try. As you go to a farmer's market, think about the variety of vegetables that could be available each week. It may be zucchini, maybe it's cabbage, maybe it's carrots. Try to get a variety of vegetables each week and try new foods and then introduce those to your family. We talked one time about how introducing things a variety of times is really important. If you're not used to trying something, maybe try a different preparation method to make it more likely for your family to enjoy. Do that for yourself as well. I grew up in a household that everyone loved Brussels sprouts, but it was not my thing at all. But as I've tried to roast them, I've found that I really do enjoy them. So it can work for kids, but also works for adults as well. As an adult, if I turn my nose up to a vegetable, I can guarantee the rest of my family is not going to want to consume it. But if I try a different preparation method, you're more likely for everyone to enjoy it and try it. And then grilling. So think about what you can put on the grill. This is another time that you can prep ahead of time. My brother and his family on Sundays always grill a variety of meat. So they might do chicken, they may do salmon, they may do, a pork chop or something like that. Grill enough to get you through the next couple of days. That could be for supper the next day. That can be for your lunches. But also think about grilling fruits. Try grilled pineapple, or maybe, grilled pears and those kind of things. It caramelizes those and it brings out the natural flavors. Has anybody grilled any fruit or vegetables recently? Put in the chat if you do. So then convenience. Think about ways we can use those leftovers. Okay, so leftovers in our refrigerator, I want you to keep no more than 2 or 3 days. So it's really important as you have those leftovers to utilize those as a key ingredient in a next meal. I know some families aren't a big fan of leftovers, and in the curriculum, they call them planned overs, or you can even think about it as kind of a buffet night, getting a variety of foods out that you've had over the last few days and how you can recreate those. You have kids, maybe make it a challenge. These are our key ingredients. How can we repurpose these into a different meal? But you can add those into things. So if you have those roasted vegetables, add it into a salad. You have your grilled fruit, maybe put that on your side for your next meal, or dice it up and put it over on top of your grilled chicken. So thinking about ways we can utilize the foods that we have left over to plug those into our diet for our next meal. And how long would they keep? Really, I would like you to keep your leftovers for about 3 days. Okay, so this slide talks about, the temperature of your refrigerator is really important, and that's true. The hotter your temperature in your refrigerator is, the more likely it's going to go bad faster and it's going to spoil. And so you can use the thermometer in your refrigerator to make sure we're keeping our foods fresh and at the correct temperature. But I would try to use your leftovers within about 3 days is a good timeline. So you can mark them, but as you put those in the refrigerator, put them right when you go in the refrigerator. So you see those and you're more likely to repurpose those in a timely process. If not, if it's the end of the week and you have to throw them away, it goes right back to that budget. You're wasting your money if we're going to throw foods away. And so that's hindering how much money we can save on this diet. And lastly, it's craveable. We've talked a lot this week about ways to make it more realistic and easy for you to plug into your lifestyle. But we have to make sure we like it as well. So the steamed, boring green beans, we've all gone to a restaurant and ordered green beans, and then they just kind of sit there because there's no flavor to them, or maybe they're hard and crunchy. How are some ways we can incorporate more herbs and spices into our foods so we desire them and we crave them? If you don't crave fruits and vegetables, it's not likely for you to incorporate in your regular routine. As we add flavor, we talked about olive oil in the past, as you're adding that oil and you're adding your seasonings and your herbs and spices, it's going to taste better to you, and hopefully your whole family will enjoy them better. So this gives you an example. Who wants boring steamed green beans when you can have a summer green bean salad, or green beans with lemon zest, or those roasted green beans that we've talked about? So find ways that we can incorporate more herbs and spices into our diet. Try using some of the recipes. And we talked earlier, and there's several people that have tried maybe the Mediterranean tuna salad, a great way of plugging more vegetables into something we typically would be already fixing, but you're sneaking more vegetables in, which is going to help you reach your daily goal. And then thinking about our salad, iceberg lettuce on the left, or maybe a lentil beet salad, quinoa strawberry salad, or apple cucumber slaw. These are things that could be made and eaten for a couple of days. So that way you're not worried about what's for lunch tomorrow. You show up to work, you don't have lunch, you're more likely to go out to eat. You can fix something ahead of time and eat on it for a couple of days. Again, it's going to save your budget because you're not rushing to a fast food place, but it's also going to save your diet because you're getting a healthy, nutritious item at that meal. And then saying goodbye. Last week we talked about the fats in our diet and the importance of tossing those pre-made bought in salad dressings and starting to make your own. We talked about the fact that you could make those and add a variety of seasonings to align with your flavor preferences and the meals that you're having. And it's really easy to make your own. To starting point, you think about half acid, half oil, and that's a good component. And as you get more comfortable with making your salad dressing, you can change those as you need to. And then you can add your seasoning. So examples on this is we have a chili lime vinaigrette, cherry Dijon, a citrus, and a balsamic. You can change these. You can use them as a marinade for your meats before you put them on the grill. You can add it to your salads. You can use it in a variety of ways. But again, it's heightening the flavor of our food. You're fixing those bland green beans, you're not going to like it. And as a result, you're not going to fix it again. But if you have a salad dressing that you can prepare and have ahead of time and store in your refrigerator for even a couple of weeks, Again, you're going to repurpose it and use it on a variety of items, and I promise your kids will love it. So on our website, we'll talk about in a little bit, you can access that and get a variety of these recipes. And I encourage you to try one this week. The citrus one does really bring some good flavors. So back to our roasted vegetables. The spicy roasted cauliflower is my favorite. But again, too, as you roast other items like the Brussels sprouts, it's going to be something for you to try in a new variety. So if you're trying to introduce more vegetables to your kids and they're struggling with that, one thing I would recommend is you go to the store this week, let them pick one out. Let them, if they're old enough, let them research and find a recipe that they want to try. They have some ownership in preparing those recipes or ownership in picking out that ingredient. They're more likely to stick with it, and they're least more likely to try a bite of it. And trying that first bite is your first success and first step in having a win with eating more fruits and vegetables. Again, more seasonings. We want to try different seasonings blends. And this might be an option of just adding one seasoning, like maybe you're adding garlic to an item that you typically wouldn't add garlic to, or maybe it's a blend. Maybe it's creating a variety of seasonings together, like the homemade taco seasoning, that you can have flavors in a different capacity. Thinking about the taco seasoning, if you make things like yourself like that, you're able to reduce the salt intake as well. Often when you buy those prepackaged blends, they have a lot of added salt in there. As we're working on reducing our salt intake, making your own blend is really important because you know exactly what's in it, and the flavors tend to be stronger and more flavorful in your items. So if you're making fajitas, you can use those taco seasoning with your chicken or your steak and make a great option. And craveable. We want to find ways to incorporate vegetables in the foods that we consume. So as a great comment earlier that aligns perfectly with the curriculum today is that Mediterranean tuna salad. It plugs in peppers and onions and a variety of vegetables into an item that you might already be preparing for your lunches. And so you can serve that with cucumbers or carrot sticks, or maybe on a bed of lettuce. So again, heighten another serving of vegetables in with that lunch meal. So we have mushroom beef tacos, whole wheat pasta with beans and greens, and our Mediterranean tuna salad. So think about some of the items your family normally consumes and how can we plug more vegetables into it? Maybe you're adding spinach into your eggs like we talked about earlier. Maybe you're adding more diced tomatoes into your pasta dish. Maybe you're serving your tuna salad or your chicken salad on a bed of lettuce, or you're using vegetables to eat that salad instead of, just using a fork or putting it on bread. There's lots of variety, and your preferences depend on maybe the meal you're consuming or the amount of time that you have. Next, we want to take the next step in making sure the meals we're consuming, we're eating them in a mindful way. So think about the meals that you eat. How do you consume your meals? Do you eat in the car? Are you eating on the couch? Are you sitting at the table? These are really important in regards to how we consume our meals and how much we're consuming. I think we've all sat down on the couch with a bowl of a snack, and before you know it, your hand's hitting the bottom of the bowl and you don't even realize that you've consumed anything. That's mindless eating. We're eating mindlessly. We're not enjoying the foods we're consuming, and often we're consuming a lot more than what we anticipate. And so we're going to work on today on making sure we're eating the mindful way to align with the Mediterranean style of eating. So mindful eating is a practice of thinking, what should I eat? How much should I eat? How should I eat? And what do I eat? Okay, if you're eating mindlessly, you might just find that you're having a handful of a snack and you don't even realize that you're craving or you're eating something. As a result, we're eating more calories than what we consume, because very rarely do we mindlessly eat on carrot sticks or slices of apples. Typically, it's foods that maybe not as good for us. So we want to be more mindful in the foods that we're choosing and thinking about why we're eating. Is it associated with the mood and how we feel? Or is it because your body's actually telling that you're needing something to eat? So eating without distractions. This feels like it's my daily life anymore. But talk to me about when you eat your meal. What distractions may be present in your life that are causing you to not enjoy or savor the meals that you're consuming? Anybody have any distractions? This may be your cell phone, the TV, maybe the work computer. I know if I'm trying to enjoy my lunch at work and my computer dings that I have a bunch of emails, it's easy to get distracted and go right back into working and not sitting and enjoying my meal. Maybe it's a newspaper. Thinking about how we can set aside all of those items and maybe having a time where we shut all those electronics off and sit at the table and being able to enjoy our meal. We want to make sure our environment's pleasant to enjoy it as well. If we're stressed out, we're going to tend to overeat or maybe not focus on preparing the foods that we should be consuming. Next, we're going to sit down at the meal and enjoy our dinner. And this may be a change for a lot of us. Maybe you're used to eating on the go, or you're sitting and eating on the couch instead of eating at a table. So I would set a small goal this week. Maybe twice this week, you're going to sit down and eat dinner or breakfast or lunch at the table with your family. This could be a good idea or opportunity to be able to interact with your family better. If you're currently sitting on the couch watching TV, you're not having a lot of dialogue regarding how your day was, what happened at school, how was your work. So if you're sitting at the table, it gives you an opportunity to converse and get to know the person that you live with a little bit better. But more importantly, it gives you the opportunity to disconnect from some of those distractions and actually enjoy your meal. Next, we want to eat slowly and enjoy every bite. And that's another perk of being able to have that conversation. If you're asking a question, you're most likely going to set that fork or that spoon down and talk. Gives your body some time to realize that you're getting full. If you're eating fast and you're not taking time to enjoy it, you tend to overeat. And then 10 or 15 minutes after that meal, then you feel instantly stuffed, because that's the time your body's finally starting to realize that you're getting full and you've already consumed too much. So we want to make our meals last at least 20 minutes. So start with at least twice this week. Sit your family down at the table, have that interaction, and see how long it takes you to eat your meal. Sometimes you'd be surprised that you might eat a lot faster than what you think. As a result, you might be overeating or consuming more than what your body actually needs. And listen to our body cues. So think about some of the stimulation that we may have at a meal. You know, if you're chewing slowly, your body's going to gradually realize that you're eating and you're getting full. The same thing as some of the external stimuli that we may that may influence us in eating something. So I may be perfectly content and not hungry at all, but maybe somebody's baking cookies or a fresh loaf of bread or some cinnamon rolls. Some of those external stimulations may cause us to eat, even though that our bodies are telling us that we aren't even hungry. Being mindful helps us listen to our internal cues and identify when we actually need to eat and how much we should be eating. So get to know your body cues. I want you to focus on not letting yourself eat or not letting yourself get to 1 or 2 and not eating when you're at 5 or 6. Okay, so thinking about 1 or 2, you're at that point in time, you're starving. You're not going to take the time to fix a nice stir fry or a salad or grill some salmon. You're starved to death and you are going to eat whatever you can find in the cabinets. So at that point in time, we aren't going to be able to take the time to savor and enjoy our food and fix something that's healthy for us. Okay, so we want to eat when we're at 3 or 4. It's telling us that your body's hungry. We're able to eat a meal, but it's also, we're at the point where we can take the time to fix something that's healthy for us. You're in the mindset that you can actually prepare a meal and not just eat whatever is in front of you. Listen to our body cues. Okay, so if you're at 7, 8, 9, or 10, you're uncomfortable. You've consumed too much. And I want you to think at that point about why you were eating, why you ate so fast, what food you consumed. Often we eat because of emotion or because we've gone too far. And so thinking about where we're at and listen to our body cues of why we're eating, and being conscious of the decisions that we're making. So again, try not to let yourself get to a 1 or 2 or 7 to 10. We want to keep it right in the middle. Put your fork down when we're at a 5 or 6. So when you start feeling a little bit satisfied, you're neutral, put your fork down, take a drink of water, give yourself some time to realize that you're getting full. Because if you keep eating at that point, we're going to get to 7, 8, 9, or 10, and definitely consume more food than what our body needed. Often, sometimes we're tempted to eat because of a routine. You know, maybe you just ate dinner and it's 7:30 and this is my snack time, right? Do we actually need it? If you're feeling that you're neutral or satisfied, try to do something else to break that habit or routine. Maybe it's going on a walk. Maybe it's playing a game with your family. Maybe it's taking the dog outside. Break that habit or routine, and then with time, your body won't even trigger that you need that snack at 7:30. And of course, we want to go back to eating the Mediterranean way. We want to focus on the more fruits and vegetables that we've talked about today. And so again, look back on those recipes and the options that we have and try incorporating a few into your routine this week. Maybe you realize today that you don't get enough fruits at all. So maybe we need to investigate some recipes that we can get more fruits in as a snack or with your meal. Maybe you need to target and get more vegetables in. 3 cups a day can be a strain if we're not used to eating vegetables at all. So maybe we need to get creative with breakfast. Find a way that we can plug some vegetables in at a meal that you typically don't get enough vegetables in to make sure we're getting closer to that 3 cups a day. There, Shannon, we're going to talk about the recipes.
Yes, we're going to take a look at some recipes. And as you were showing that the slide about the body cues, it made me think about a friend of mine who calls this the enjoyment curve. And it's where you're eating your meal and you're enjoying the food. And then there's this point where you've eaten too much and it's no longer enjoyable. And so if you don't give your body time to adjust as you're eating, you can find yourself to get past that enjoyment curve. I want to talk about some of the recipes that are included with our topic today. And the first one is the oven roasted vegetables. And so Christina, you were finished with your slides, or did you have more? Sorry about that. Mine says Brussels sprouts, so I didn't know if we were in the right spot. Oh, there we go. Okay. Maybe I didn't have the roasted vegetables on let's talk about the roasted vegetables and the oven roasted ones. So any kind of vegetables can work. This recipe is the roasted Brussels sprouts specifically. It's an amazing vegetarian side dish that you can try. Feel free to add a little bit of turkey bacon or something to give it a little bit more flavor. With this recipe and the oven roasted vegetables, the roasting really brings out the flavor of these of the vegetables. And I think I mentioned previously that also I like to do these outside on a grill, which does the same thing, just really brings out that flavor a little bit differently, and you can season them different ways depending on what you like. And then we'll move on to the summer green bean salad is next. And a good way to incorporate green beans that's more exciting than just eating green beans on their own. This is one of the best salads to make when the corn is really fresh. And so looking forward to that time of the year. The easiest way to cook the corn is in the microwave. So they talk about in the recipe cutting off one end and microwaving it for 4 minutes and then shaking it out of the husk. And so just to check that tip on the recipe. Even though this recipe uses a fresh basil, so even though the basil gets a little bit dark by the next day, it's one of those salads like some foods that does get better the following day as well. And next slide is a cabbage stir fry. This is a really, really easy recipe to prepare and makes a great side dish. If you like it, a little bit of spice that you would like to include, you can add some Thai green chili or a jalapeno, gives it a little bit more of a spicy flavor. And then we talked a little bit about already today, the vegetable omelet, and it's a great way to get vegetables in from the start of your day. That's been a comment that's come back consistently with Walk Kansas for years and years and years. It was one of the great things is that when you start to write down or pay attention to how much you're eating of fruits and vegetables, you realize, hey, I may not be getting enough. And people report eating more fruits and vegetables as a result of participating in Walk Kansas, which is great. But I've also heard the comment repeatedly, if I don't start first thing in the morning, I can't get in all those fruits and vegetables. And so to think about how you can incorporate those throughout the day in every meal and as snacks. Excuse me. And next is avocado toast. And in this photo here, it shows just slicing the avocado, but we make avocado toast quite a bit and like to mash up the avocado and put it on like a toasted rye bread or kind of a really grainy, nice whole grain bread. What we like to do is also add sliced tomatoes on top of the avocado, and then even a seasoning that's called everything but the bagel. And it includes some sesame seeds and other seasonings. So that really makes avocado toast pretty exciting and special. And I like to eat avocado toast with tomato soup for lunch. So just some of the other ways to think about avocado toast. And this is a whole wheat pasta with pesto and vegetables. And so a good thing to do with being able to add vegetables is think about adding them to your pasta. Can get all kinds of flavorings, and also that whole wheat pasta can make for a really great vegetarian dish. So we're going to shift now to some fruits, and this is a citrus salsa. This is a really easy and quick salsa to make. It goes great on fish tacos, one of my favorites. I love fish tacos. It also goes well with just grilled fish or with beans and rice, adds some nice flavor. In this recipe, it's optional, but you can add either jicama or daikon to it for some crunch. Jicama is a crispy, sweet root that's edible, and daikon is like a giant white radish, an East Asian radish that both are very similar to each other, and they can add some real nice crunch to this particular salsa. And next should be a mango black bean salad. Yes, and I also have a salsa recipe I like to make that's mango and black beans. So it's real similar to this. This is a perfect dish for a summer picnic or a potluck. Super easy and quick and delicious. And it pairs well with pork or chicken or fish. Adds some nice flavor, but just a nice salad that you can try. And this is an apple cucumber slaw. It's one of the most popular recipes on the Med Instead of Meds website. Its simplicity and the bright flavors make it a favorite among the participants. So oftentimes apple is a fruit that almost everybody likes. So this is a good choice to be. It's one that's well accepted. You can make it really quickly if you grate the apples. That's a little faster than chopping with a knife, and it goes really well with the salmon burgers recipe that's on the Med Instead of Meds website. The quinoa strawberry salad is really, really good. It's popular, or quinoa is a popular whole grain and cooks very, very quickly, and it's high in protein. It has a nutty taste, and so you can add quinoa to salads really easily. The quinoa soaks up the dressing in the recipe. So one thing you'll want to remember is to dress the salad right before you serve it. You'll want to use about a bag of salad greens total. You can use all spinach or all arugula, or you can use half and half or mix whatever greens that you like. Just make sure that they're dark greens. Next is this chili lime salad with grapefruit, mango, and pineapple. And so you can use any combination of fruits that you want. This one just is what they chose to use. This adds a little bit of a kind of a punch to it with the cayenne pepper. Of course, you can leave that out if you don't want to try cayenne pepper, but that's what makes it kind of that chili lime flavor. A fruit smoothie. This is where you can have a lot of fun mixing all kinds of fruits that might be helped or liked by your family. Using frozen fruits makes them a little thicker. You can also substitute milk with Greek yogurt. That'll make it a little thicker too, but lots of ways that you can incorporate fruits and even some vegetables into your smoothie. This recipe calls for spinach. You can use kale if you want to, or you can also add some oatmeal to your smoothie. So lots of ways that you can enjoy a really healthy treat is with a smoothie. And then our last one, this is a new take on a classic, the peanut butter sandwich. So if peanut butter and jelly is a staple at your house, you might want to try this simple twist on the old favorite and ditch the extra sugar. Instead, boost the crunch factor and add an apple slices to your sandwich. And you can amp up the nutritional benefits this way. So give that a try. All right. Thank you all for attending today. Need to go back through our chat here. Had some questions. So one of them is 3 cups of fruits and vegetables. What's the recommendation? 3 cups of fruits and vegetables together, or 3 cups of just vegetables? It's actually the recommendation that I know of is 3 cups of vegetables, 2 cups of fruits, but I'll let Christina weigh in on that too.
Yes, that was the recommendation. So think about where you're currently at and what you can gradually do to get closer to that 3 cups of vegetables and 2 cups of fruit.
Yep, and now I see that you answered that right after the question. Yes, is anybody sampling a recipe today that you're out there and giving a try? So put that in the chat if you are. I mentioned that I'm going to save the one slide that several of you asked for earlier, the get to know your body cue slide. we'll say that into the resources section on the Walk Kansas website. That way, if you want to print it off and keep it there handy for you, it'll be available. I know there was one about, here we go. I find that eating berries and nuts as a snack along with whole grains and legumes. Oh, just to keep the blood sugars down. So there was a question about the blood sugars and managing that with grains and fruits. Any other questions? I don't see any in the Q&A. Anything else about keeping blood sugars down? The question was eating grains, fruits, and legumes.
Yeah, I was looking back to see if I can find the question. So the main thing is worrying about or monitoring our portion sizes. So as we talk about fruits, vegetables, whole grains, they're a great source of fiber. The fiber takes longer to digest or break down. So likely your blood sugar won't spike as quickly after a meal, but also they can be a source of carbohydrates as well. So thinking about how much of those items that we're having. So as we said, 2 cups of fruit a day, I would try to spread that throughout the course of the day rather than having 2 cups of, apples, at one meal. And so maybe gradually putting it between meals and snacks could be a good option. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised as you eat more whole grains and fruits and vegetables. I think your blood sugar won't spike as quickly after a meal in comparison to eating, white rice or maybe potatoes and those kind of things. The higher fiber content really helps with blood sugar control. I always tell people to treat themselves kind of like a guinea pig. Try a new food, check your blood sugar 2 hours afterwards, and just see how it impacted your blood sugar. With diabetics, everybody's body reacts a little bit differently to different foods. And the way you figure that out is just kind of trial and error and seeing how your blood sugar reacts. Any other questions?
I don't see any. We'll have the recording of this webinar and the recipes that were highlighted today. Those will be posted in the resources section of your Walk Kansas portal. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Christina or Ashley or me, and we'd be glad to answer those if you think of something later. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Have a good day.